What is up? Welcome to this week's episode, and we are talking about seasonal depression-ish. I don't like to use the word depression because I'm not trying to diagnose anybody here, but seasonal, like lack of motivation, laziness, tiredness, and why that happens. And so I'm going to go through like what chemically happens, and then I'm also going to go through what like psychologically kind of happens to us, what I've seen happen to the hundreds of clients that I've worked with. This is all very common. So I'm just going to speak from my experience. And then I'm also got some of this information from a research study that I found about seasonal depression. And you can look at it and read the whole thing over for yourself. I'm just kind of giving you the general overview of what happens. So let's go into first chemically what happens. So serotonin and melatonin. So serotonin is kind of like a chemical in our body that helps to send signals to our nerves and our cells to, it helps with mood and digestion. It like signals these things. So basically they did this study and they found that about 5% of people suffer from this. So during the winter and the summer months, they'll have different levels of serotonin transporting through their bodies. And basically the higher levels lead to lower serotonin, which can cause this kind of like depression feeling kind of thing, laziness, lack of motivation. So that's what happens. So you have less serotonin running through your body. And then another thing that happens is just basic, a lot of times the people that do suffer from the seasonal like depression kind of feeling, they also suffer with an overproduction of melatonin. So as it gets darker outside, your body produces more melatonin, which is like the sleep hormone. And so it just causes you to obviously be more tired and things like that. So that is kind of like just a general overview of what is kind of chemically going on in our bodies. And they did suggest things to help with those like chemical things happening. And then I'm going to go into the psychological one, because even if you don't have, lower levels of serotonin or higher levels of melatonin, there's still psychological things that affect you. They affect me. I know this time of year, I am like a different animal, So everyone's different, and some people don't feel any different from summer or winter, and that's great, but some people do. So that's what we're talking about. Now, in order to help like the chemical things that are happening, the article suggested a few things, and these are all very common things. So light therapy, specifically in the AM, so that way you can start like your circadian rhythm, because if it's dark outside, it's going to it's harder for your circadian rhythm to kind of like, okay, wake up, it's morning, I see sun, that means it's wake up time. So light therapy is a great option. You can buy a little light lamp on Amazon. I know whenever we moved to the UK and I came from Florida, they told us in our like, what are those called? Newcomers briefings, buy a light lamp therapy thing, because you're going to start feeling depressed, you're going to start feeling low, you're going to make sure you take vitamin D supplements, all those things that they tried to tell us to do to combat that. So vitamin D is actually the next treatment. I don't want to say treatment because I'm not diagnosis or treating anybody, okay? The next thing that you're going to want to do is start taking more vitamin D around this time of year. So especially if you live somewhere where it's just like gray this time of year, because I live in Texas. Unfortunately, we don't have that much of a winter, but the winter that we do have, it's darker longer in the morning, and then it gets darker earlier at night. So that's what messes with me. But I'll get into that when I go into psychologically, because I don't know if chemically this stuff is happening to me. I've never been tested for it or anything. Like, I don't think it's that deep. But and then community and movement. So those 4 things are really, really going to benefit you, especially this time of year. They're going to benefit you all of the times of the year, obviously. But light therapy, specifically in the AM, to get your circadian rhythm up and popping. Vitamin D, just to help with the lack of sun. Community, so join groups or engage with other people, go meet friends for things, do all the fall activities that we all love to do. Partner with another family or partner with a friend group that you can all do them together. And then movement, just forcing yourself to, if it's way too cold where you're at and you can't go outside, like there's snow type of things, then invest in a walking pad. I think they're so popular now on Amazon, you can get one for like $150. So it's a great investment. And that way you can walk outside, because just getting blood flow, getting your body moving is going to help so much with all of these chemical things going on in your body. And it's going to kind of combat the tiredness, the sleepiness, and all that. Okay, so now let's get into kind of what psychologically happens. And this is where I find all of my issues and other people that I've worked with. This time of year, it's just colder, so it's harder to get out of bed. You want to stay in bed a little bit longer, and that pushes your day back. But then it also gets dark earlier, so you feel like you're losing time on both ends. You feel like your days are shorter when it's really the same amount of time. But because you are struggling to get out of bed, so you hit snooze, and then also it gets darker, around like 5:30 or 6, so you're like, yeah, my day's over, it's bedtime. That just shortens your day so much, so you feel like you don't have enough time in the day to do all the things. So when you don't have enough time in the day to do all of the things, what are the things that are gonna go? Obviously, the things that you consider extra or luxury. You can't stop going to work, You can't stop taking care of your kids and feeding them dinner. So the first thing that's going to go is, my nighttime walk is going to go out the window, or my morning workout is going to go out the window, because those are things that we look at as not being essential, which that's a different conversation, but let's keep going. So darker earlier, waking up when it's dark is also really hard, because again, that circadian rhythm, like you really need to start it. And honestly, I think that getting outside first thing in the morning, because even now when I wake up before the sun's out, I go outside and there's no sun out, but I still feel like that's me starting my circadian rhythm, because I'm looking at the sky. So I don't know if it's mental or if something physical is actually happening, but whether it's dark outside or not, getting outside first thing in the morning so your face can just feel the air, your body can feel the air, your brain can look and say, it's daytime, let's go, we're up and at 'em. That really helps me anyways, just because I get up before the sun anyways. But yeah, those are the major factors that are really happening. It's just colder and it's darker out, so we want to do less things. So a couple ways to do that is to try to stick to the same schedule. I know it's hard. I know when that alarm hits, it's cold outside, especially, I don't know about you, but I don't like to sleep with like a lot of clothes on. I like to sleep with like a big t-shirt and like some loose shorts, or no shorts at all. And then during the cold months, when it's dark and cold in the morning, it is next to impossible to get up and at 'em, because I am like, and I set myself up, So I think this year I'm going to try to put like sweatpants next to my bedside table, which I know sounds ridiculous, but honestly, that'll help me. I literally can go over, grab my sweatpants, throw them on underneath the sheets, and then it'll motivate me to get out of bed. That's what I'm going to try to do. You can do however you want, but just trying to keep the same schedule. So make sure at night you're setting yourself up for success from the next day, because we know our morning routine starts the night before. Your success the next morning starts the night before. So try your best to keep as much of a consistent schedule as you can with yourself and your family. So, if you eat at 6 o'clock every night, then try not to eat at like 4:30 or 5 just because it's getting dark outside. Try to keep the same eating patterns, the same morning routine, the same nighttime routine. And I know it's easier said than done, but I'm just saying, if you're diligent about it and you tell yourself, no, it's 6 o'clock. I'm not winding down. I still have 3 more hours before I get into bed. So let's go. There is something to be said about like, getting your mind prepared for that type of thing. And then try not to lay in bed. I know, like I said, I get my sweatpants. I'm going to try that this year, see how that helps me. But whenever that alarm hits, you just got to get out of bed. You got to get up, get out of bed, figure out what's going to work for you. If that's having like thick fuzzy slippers beside your bed, or thick fuzzy socks beside your bed that you can throw on, because I don't like to sleep with socks either. So if I can throw those on, because the floor is going to be cold, I don't have carpet in my room. So and like anticipating all of the things that are going to get in your way, like, oh, that cold floor, I don't want to touch it, or peeling off the covers because I'm not wearing any pants. Like, try your best to eliminate any of those things happening. And then try to get your tasks done as soon as you can throughout the day. So if you are planning to work out at 5 o'clock, and that I start to get tired around 5:30 because the sun starts to go down and it messes with my melatonin production or whatever happens, then maybe you could be a morning workout person for the next 4 months. I don't know. Or maybe you can be a lunchtime workout person for the next 4 months. You just have to figure out how not miss the things that you need to do in the day, because the day is going to feel shorter, and you need to try your best, obviously, to stay on the same schedule, because that's going to benefit you long term. Doing the same thing, the same time of day for an extended period of time really helps your body get in tune with itself. It knows what to expect. It's like you're like flowing. You're working with your body rather than against it. So I'm very big on sticking with the same schedule, weekly. But I'm also very big on, that's why this space is so gray, because yeah, this might work right now, but the same scenario will pop up for somebody else, and I know they have different circumstances, so I will prescribe something totally different for them, you know? So it's very individualized. So I just want to make sure I explain that, but you have to figure out how is this going to work best for you. So keeping the same schedule is a great way to do it. But if that doesn't work for you and you've tried to keep the same schedule and you have your workout class at 5:30, but you can't drag yourself there because it's so dark, then move your workout class to the morning, or adapt, move things around. And that doesn't mean it has to stay like that, but that's just one way to make sure that you're successful at hitting all your targets, and you're not going to let 4 months of winter totally derail what you've worked all year for. You know, that makes no sense. So before I keep rambling, I hope all that makes sense. I'm going to link the research paper that I found most of this information from, so that way you can look at it all and you can kind of get a better gist of it. If you have any questions, obviously comment below, or if you have any suggestions on how to make this time of year easier for some people, comment that below too, and I can edit it into the description, because, you know, I don't know all the answers. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.